Warning: the following challenge is performed by an idiot. Please do not attempt to recreate or reenact this run unless you too intend on becoming hollow. Hey, hello, howdy my friends. If you clicked on this video, then you probably already know what the goal is. I may have missed the pain train from the first one-shot contest, but oh, don't you worry. We will more than make up for it in this one. Dark Souls 2 is widely regarded as one of the most divisive video games FromSoft has put out, with many stating it as the worst game in the Souls series, while just as many herald it as the greatest. Releasing all the way back a decade ago in 2014, yes, that makes me feel old, I had just started college, so I only had time to play through it once or twice, and really haven't touched it much since. So when Lemon of the Backlogs reached out to me and invited me to the Dark Souls 2 one-shot contest, I was definitely a little hesitant. Not least of which, since after a quick search on YouTube, I couldn't find much of this being successfully completed at all. And that's mainly because, well, Dark Souls 2 bosses have ridiculous health bars. For example, Manus, a DLC boss for Dark Souls 1, has the highest health in the game, with a bit over 6k. The highest in Dark Souls 2, Ancient Dragon, coming in with just a casual 20k. So yeah, Lemon had to make some changes to the rules from the last one-shot video to make this endeavor a bit more manageable, which are probably up on the screen now. The only one that really matters right now though, is that while yes, we are aiming to one-shot as many targets as possible, as they award 2 points, 2 shots are also allowed, but only give 1 point as a trade-off. Does this make the run any easier? No, not even a little. And I know you're all eager to begin, but before that, I want to thank you all for the support, as it's you guys that let me get a chance to do something like this. Mr. Metagross, who recommended me for the challenge, and of course Lemon for inviting me as well. Love you guys forever. Even though I know you're all really here just to watch me suffer. Speaking of which, if you're a newcomer here and also enjoy watching my suffering, or simply like me, please consider subscribing so Lemon can continue torturing me when we inevitably get to Dark Souls 3. But I'm getting sidetracked. So, let the chaos begin. So ladies, what do you think my chances are? Thanks. Well, we don't really need much prep, so I'm just gonna go with Explorer as it's more convenient and grab the aesthetic for grinding later on. So after picking up all the goodies in Majula, we head to Hyde's Tower next, and the plan's simple. Just spill a little milk on the edge of the platform and watch as Dragon Rider tries to stick the landing. Next, I grab the branch of Yore from No Man's Wharf, and then buy the cat's ring from Shakur back in Majula so we can go ahead and drop in the gutter. A couple of missteps later, and we've reached the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the large club, as it hits like a truck, then keep going until we finally reach Black Gulch. Here, we can farm for a bit to get both large and chunk titanite from these nightmare gummy worms. Plus, a nice little bonus to starting as the Explorer is that his headpiece passively increases drop rates. Sweet! Anyway, next we head over to the Shaded Woods, where I free Rosabeth from her rock-solid acting career, and then grab the Red Tearstone, the Calanthe Ring, and the Dark Scythe before heading into the Forest of Fallen Giants for Titanite Shards. And buying Lion Gas key from Grandma so Lion Gas can finally open up shop for us in Majula. I then farm 89 million souls completely legitimate, don't question it, maxing out my strength, dex, intelligence, and faith, while also making our wood as hard as possible so we have a solid shot at these guys. On to Huntsman's Cop. Cope? Not sure how it wants me to say that. We also set Cretan free while we're here, so we can get his quest going for the engraved gauntlets later, and then it's time to take on the men without skin. With the Skeleton Lords down, we can now farm the Bane Digger in Harvest Valley for an unlimited supply of normal smooth stones and sunlight metals to trade for Sunlight Spear from the Sun Bros Covenant. Well, I'm pretty sure magic is going to be useless until the end game outside of buffing, as just checking online, most bosses have pretty extreme resistances to them. I still grab them just in case because you never know. Either way, after collecting a solid pile of rocks, we head over to the bird traders next, which why my dude is not more concerned that he's talking to birds and cats at this point, I don't know. Picking up the Channeler's Trident and Demon Great Hammer from them. The Great Hammer is just a direct upgrade to the club, so I go ahead and max it out for its 40 extra damage, and the Trident's useful because its special two-handed attack has us do a little dance that, as long as it completes, gives us a 25% damage boost for about 15 seconds, which obviously we're going to need. We also pick up some lightning resin from Vengril back in the Shaded Woods, before heading back to Forest of the Giants to take on Pursuer in his special one-shot arena, who thinks he has a drop on me, but Uno reverse, bud, because I'm doing the dropping. We only get 1 point here, but the Ring of Blades is a pretty good pickup, so of course gonna throw that on immediately, and fighting him here was easier, so why not? And with the souls, I pick up Resonant Weapon from Felkin, and upgrade the Dark Scythe I picked up earlier and set my sights on Last Giant next. Since he's weak to dark, I'm hoping we'll be able to one-shot him. Nope. Despite him being the first boss you're supposed to fight, Last Giant is just too much of a beefy boy for us to handle. I might have had enough if I used a Bright Bug, but I didn't want to run the risk of running out of them later on when we really need them. With Last Giant down, we obtain the Soldier Key, which lets us grab the Grand Lance behind this door. It's a very strong thrusting weapon, as well as being one of the best counter weapons in the game, dealing a massive extra 60% more damage when doing a counter hit, even more if you use the Leo ring for its counter bonus. It's just a really good weapon no matter what run you're doing, so if you haven't ever used it, I highly recommend it. But with the path to the Lost Bastille clear, it's time to go pay Santa a visit in his workshop. After landing in Lost Bastille, we grab this key and then rush over to here so we can blow our load on this wall. And just like that, we're in Santa's workshop. Must have been a good boy. Look at all the presents. I'm gonna go ahead and stick lightning infusion on for now, since it's a pretty common weakness. And now's as good a time as any to go test it out on the Golden Gang Squad. This time though, I was actually just an idiot and completely forgot about using a bright bug to one-shot them, which definitely lost me a pretty easy point, and being this early into the run definitely stings a bit. After freeing another stoner, Straight here now lets us turn in boss souls for some unique weapons and spells. I don't know if it'll work for all bosses, but I remember the Roaring Halberd being very good against anything that is remotely weak to dark, so definitely picking that up. But before going too much further, I really want to grab the engraved gauntlets for that big crit damage, as 50% more damage is, well, 50% more damage. Don't really need to elaborate. That does mean taking on Nachka though, who has a very high health pool. So we're gonna need a plan. Funny enough, she's weak to thrust damage. Do with that information what you will. But that means our Grand Lance should be decent against her, so we head back to Hyde's to pick up the Leo ring. Left foot, left stomp. After taking dance lessons from the dragon, we drop the bridge and attempt to drop Ornstein, which we're somewhat successful in. And by that, I mean we have to fight him again because, well, Dark Souls says fuck me today. With the Leo ring picked up, we go ahead and max out the Grand Lance to +10, and it's time we take a stab at Nachka. Oh crap, I was really hoping that would do better. So yeah, Nachka has the start of things getting a lot more painful from now on. I try out quite a few things, including changing the Lance's infusions, using the Black Knight Halberd, and even smashing. But nothing was really getting us much further, as she still had a good quarter or so health remaining on our best attempts. So I began to give in despair, but that's when it hit me, or should I say whispered to me. Yeah, that's a really bad pun. I'll just go throw myself off now. While we're down here, we go ahead and take on the Rat Vanguard too, as I figured they wouldn't be too much of a problem. And while I was crushing the rats, I got to thinking. Since Nachka is weak to thrust damage, and we were able to get to roughly half health, why not double down and give her twice the thrust? And while I could just grab the lance since we've already got the soldier key, I wanted to take the last giant down again because, well, I enjoy pain and suffering. And I also wanted to test out the roaring halberd damage. After all, we'll have to deal with the giant lord at some point down the line, so might as well see if it can hold up. After a quick stop by Ilium Lois for the dark clutch ring to raise our dark damage even higher, let's break some ankles. I also buy Granny's new stock of bright bugs, and put a fire infusion on the lances since that's Nachka's elemental weakness. And let's see if she likes double penetration. With Nachka being worse for wear, we're one step closer to the gauntlets. Still, that was dangerously close. If she had a little bit more health, we would have been in serious trouble. Well, heading forward, we're just gonna skip Pharaohs for now, and head straight to Brightstone to whip the local religious leaders. Why do you guys seem into it? As I approached their house, I unfortunately just now realized I still need to continue with Pate's and Cretan's quest lines to get them to appear here. Mainly since I'm not 100% sure if you can get the gauntlets still if you kill them early. That means we need to beat Covetous Demon before we can continue. So I make a quick stop by Black Gulch and pick up Great Magic Weapon, since he doesn't like the blue juice. And then I simply give Covetous a few extra holes to breathe out of. A pretty one-sided fight, all things considered. And after catching up with the boys a few more times,
I won't let that bastard live.
we find them duking it out back over in Brightstone over who is our favorite bay. And I'm sorry, but I'm Cretan all the way. Just look at the armor. But that being said, now that I got the key, still got a run to do, so sorry bud. I'm not sure how to count the points here, since they did do damage to each other beforehand, but I wasn't sure if they disappear or not if I reset the area. So, if I lose a few points, it's still worth it. Let's grab what we came for. Yeah, you know these aren't ever coming off. Now that I'm feeling a bit well, I wouldn't say confident, but definitely prepared. Let's start tackling some bigger fish, shall we? First up, Lost Center. Ma'am, there's something on your... Ma'am? Yeah, I get pissed too when I get something in my eye. Let me just get that out of there for you. Whoops, I might have slipped. We're just gonna pay Grandma another visit for some more bugs. And, speaking of which, I am so glad I don't have a fear of spiders. Well, I'll just do what I do at home and smash and flush it down the toilet. Well, fuck. Okay, so weirdly enough, Frey ended up being a lot of fun to fight, as she was more like a puzzle rather than just a DPS check. Starting off, we need to clear the other spiders out so we don't just get randomly sniped as we try to focus her down. I let Freya bring me down to RTS range before baiting out her laser attacks so we can run to her side and give her a good pull dance. Then, when she turns and fires again, we run to the opposite head and start bashing. Then, simply rinse and repeat, swapping to the other head so you don't get cockblocked by her head. No, seriously, it falls off. Don't take that out. We move past Freya's arena, smashing some crazy hobo dude. And then pay Grandma yet another visit for even more bugs. Jesus, that's pricey. I'm starting to think Granny might not have our best interests at heart. Since we still have the fire infusion on their lances, I figured we might as well take on Mytha next. And we simply take her from behind. In Iron Keep, I sweetened up Magarold for the covetous gold serpent ring +1 to make grinding a bit easier. And good timing too, since now we can backtrack to Pharos and grind for my favorite looking weapon in Dark Souls 2, the Gurm Great Hammer. I mean, come on. It's a freaking anvil on a stick. Fucking love it. And after getting 2 of them, we max both of them out, and let's test the damage against Smelter. Well, that's terrifying. Isn't he supposed to be weak to strike damage? Maybe I just missed. Shit. I also tried the Grand Lances just to see, but they aren't doing much better. That's really unfortunate too, because if we manage to take care of Smelter, then we can take out the Pursuer that shows up and grab the Ring of Blades +1. Guess we'll just have to move on for now and come back later. Luckily, there's a very convenient ladder here. Almost like FromSoft knew how shitty he is. Well, Smelter later, bud. Bad puns aside, we're still in for a bad time because the old Iron King isn't too much better. He isn't threatening to us at all, especially after I adopt the bitch strategy of hiding around the corner until he fires his beam. But his health pool is massive, and I'm not confident we could beat him even with a double crit from the gauntlets, which is some unintended foreshadowing that'll very much haunt me towards the end of the run. So after looking up what he's weak against, we take a detour back over to Lost Bastille for a weapon that'll hopefully be exactly what we need. Just gotta take care of another Dark Souls 1 retread boss first. Moving past the gargoyles, we nab a weapon that is also from Dark Souls 1, the Dragon Tooth. Pairing really well with infusions, this thing can absolutely dish out ridiculous amounts of damage. So of course we're going to grab a second one. After maxing them both out and infusing them with lightning, we return to Old Iron King and once again adopt our bitch strategy in the corner. Once he's done trying to turn us into chicharrones, we go grab that heavy iron key from the lizard pit in the Forest of Giants and head into the DLC. And full disclosure, I've never played any of them. Again, college. So if it looks like we're wandering around aimlessly, well, it's because we are. The only thing I know I want for sure is the smelter hammer, or more commonly known as the drumstick. I was interested to see if it would be any good since it has some of the highest pure physical damage available. And spoiler alert, it wasn't. Probably the biggest pickup we got from here was the magic clutch ring, but overall a bit of a time waste. Heading back into the main game, we rematch Smelter again, but we're still not making any progress. So in the meantime, I go take care of Royal Rat Authority for two reasons. One, to take out my frustrations. And two, and the most likely thing to happen, I was just gonna forget about him. After the less good boy is taken care of, it's time we tackle the last old one, Mr. Old Body Bag McGee himself. If we can get him down, then we could pick up Flynn's Ring and Shulva, which boost our AR by 50 points, as long as our max equip load is below 60. It's another decent boost, and judging by how narrowly we're beating some of these bosses, we are definitely going to need it sooner or later. One problem. Rotzen is our healthiest boy yet, coming in at over 7k. 1,000 more than even the Old Iron King, who we just barely managed. The Rotzen has a few weaknesses though, the main being thrust and lightning damage. So after switching our Grand Lance's infusion to lightning and using all our buffs, we're hitting around 6k, but that still leaves him with about 1,000 health remaining. Now, me being a masochist, I beat my head against him trying for crits for a while, but not really accomplishing much. But then after doing a little research, it would seem that Dark Souls 2 takes a huge U-turn on logic, because, get this, a boss called the Rotten can, in fact, be rotted. But then again, I don't really care. If it means I can actually beat him, then I'll gladly commit some war crimes. This fight was, without a doubt, the most difficult and tedious of the runs so far, as I have to balance using Poison Mist to build up the poison, but not proccing it until I hit him with my weapon so that it only results in one hit. And it's a trend that will unfortunately become fairly common from now on. But for now, where's that key? So I don't know why, maybe just because I'm stubborn or dumb, but I decided that I wanted to see if I could one or two shot the giants that have the DLC key. So, making my life harder, I head over to Huntsman's Cope and tackle the Bone Brigade once again. Wait, the giants are weak to dark, so why is that damage so shit? So for some weapons, dual wielding is a good option to increase their damage per hit, as they lack multi-hit combos, giving them a good chunk more damage, such as the greatswords. And while halberds can also be dual wielded, they just don't do really well. That's because a bunch of the halberd's two-handed attacks are multi-hit combos, and if they all hit, they can blow a lot of dual wield builds out of the water. There's a bit more to it than that, and it will become much more relevant later, as it took me till the end of the run to realize quite a bit of it, but I thought I'd just say something now because of how apparent it is against them. With that information, we receive the gem key from Arnie and head into Shulva, where after watching a quick YouTube tutorial, we immediately run and grab Flynn's ring, and then hightail it out of there to the Firekeepers and respec our vitality to 14. And boom, 50 extra damage. With that major upgrade, I feel it's time for a rematch. After getting extremely lucky with poison proccing on our last hit, we finally take down Smelly Demon. Not as significant an upgrade as Flynn's, but that bigger number continues to make my smooth brain happy. It's time to test that damage by smashing some glass. Okay, well, even with our damage boost, we still don't deal enough damage to outright kill him, so back to the poison strat. And Looking Glass is another fight where we have to dance around a bit. We start off by casting Whispers while standing in the doorway so that we have time to dodge out of the way as he lunges forward. We have to get a cast of Poison Mist off, which shouldn't proc, hopefully, while also applying some Rotten Resin so we can proc it on hit, all while fat rolling and getting a crit. Yeah, we still need a crit, otherwise you end up getting cock blocked like this. When it all comes together, we end up with one smashed looking glass. But trust me, that 7 years of bad luck of his really comes back to bite us later. As we make our way through the Shrine of Amana, we talk to the MILF along the way and grab our next decent pickup, Sunlight Blade. This, like other elemental buffs in most cases, increases our lightning damage by 30%. So nice. We find the second MILF, but I know that if I talk to her, she'll immediately disappear. So for posterity's sake on Lemon's behalf, I go ahead and give her a good thrusting. Which was a terrible, terrible mistake. But no time to dwell, as Froggy Foreskin is next. And due to his, outer layers, I start off with the Roaring Halberds again, because I'm still an idiot and haven't figured out how to use them correctly. Regardless, they aren't dealing enough damage anyways, so I try the hammers again. But even when I manage to land all the hits, we're still not dealing enough damage. So once again, Poison to the rescue. With Flippy down, we head into Undead Crypt next and have a chat with Agdane and check out his inventory. But he has nothing for us, so we move on to Vestalt next. And having finally learned my lesson by now, we immediately start off with the poison strat. So it doesn't take long before So all we need to do is be able to cast Poison Mist, apply Rotten Resin to our weapon, while fat rolling, getting a crit, and without him buffing because it reduces how much damage he takes. All while in our TS range. Let's be real. This is pain. Just pain. Well, that literally came down to the bell. But since we now have the King's Ring, that means we only have a few more bosses to go. Thank God. And there is no way we're fighting Vendrick. Sure, he's a relatively easy fight. But yeah, 11,000 is just not feasible. I'll pass. Alright, I wanted to take care of Throne Watcher and Defender now, so I didn't have to mess with them when it came time for Nashandra. And for the most part, this fight was relaxing, I guess is the word to say. I don't know. It was just a nice change of pace from the last gauntlet of fights. No struggling for crits, no poison, just a nice, chill fight. Definitely needed. Heading to Aldia's Keep next, we chat with Navlan and start his questline, which, to be fair, I'd already got half the items, so that just leaves the Emerald Herald and Kale. And Kale, had an unfortunate accident, so that just leaves the Emerald Herald. Well, we'll just wait till she hands over the feather since it's in the next area anyways. So after clearing Aldia's Keep, we hit Guardian Dragon next, and what is quite possibly the fastest fight of all my runs to date, coming at 9 seconds, if you include the Fog Gate. An absolute massacre. After reaching Dragon Eyrie, we talk to our one true main girl, who gives us a feather. For some reason. Still, beggars can't be choosers. So we take this back to Navlan, who gives us our last rewards along with the Chaos set. We let him out of his timeout corner, where we have a smashing good time together. In Dragon Shrine, we pick up the 3rd Dragon Ring, as well as the Petrified Egg, and finally the Ashen Mist Heart from the Ancient Dragon. Then we equip our best item discovery gear and start farming the Dragon Knights for Dragon Scales. Pro tip, if you funnel all of them off the stairs into this corridor and cast Poison Mist, it becomes an absolute bloodbath. We keep this up until we manage to grab enough Dragon Scales to upgrade the Dragon Covenant to +2 for the Dragon Torso Stone, so that we too can become one with the Dragon Weeb. When we use a stone after being in dragon form already, we roar, and it gives us a nice 5% damage boost for a couple seconds. It does, however, replace any armor worn with its own dragon set, so unfortunately, it cannot be used with the engraved gauntlets. Anyway, for now, we head back to the Shaded Woods to free Ornifacts after picking up the key from this guy. I had a couple different ideas on weapons that she offers I wanted to try. And first up is the Drakewing Greatsword. Its special attack, Super Wind, shoots out Wind. I was hoping that the multiple hits would be good, but it really wasn't. We can also pick up another weapon now from the Memory of Vamar, the Giant Golf Club. Seriously, look at that backswing. In all seriousness, this thing is a beast. Throw in an infusion and watch that AR reach almost 1k. Nice. Just in time for Giant Lore too. Because despite what I'd hoped, the halberds still aren't cutting it, because I'm still not two-handing them. I was hurting myself so bad this run by doing this. Seriously, I was having such a hard time with him until I finally had enough and switched over to the club. As soon as I did, he went down on our first try. Thing's ridiculous. Well, with the big guy down and the giant kinship obtained, we could go fight Nishandra right now. But we should probably do some cleanup first. So you know what that means. Time for a montage. Cheers! So as we wind down the NPC massacre, I finally realized the mistake I had made earlier. Remember when I hit the MILF? Well, doing so causes this door to not open since we didn't talk to all the MILFs, meaning we can't reach the last mommy behind it. Time to backtrack. Well, there's an hour wasted for 2 points. But we're almost done. Just 2 more targets left for the main game. Time to embrace the dark. Well, I guess it's time. Nishandra. Where do I even begin? Coming in at almost 9k, Nishandra really begins to push what is even possible for a 2-shot. Being weak to both lightning and strike, I figured we were set up pretty good for what between the giant club and dual-wield dragon tooths. But neither the club or dragon tooths came close. Dragon form or crit bonus be damned. So I try the Grand Lances. I try Poison and Toxic with Mytha's Bent Blade. Dual Greatswords. Getting her to fall off. I tried Miracles. Decent, but no. Well, at this point, I'm willing to try anything. Hey, wait a second. That's a lot of damage. What's going on? Well, you know how I've been shitting on myself for dual wielding halberds all run? Yeah, this is why. For whatever reason, their motion values are ridiculous for their two-handed attacks compared to most weapons, meaning they deal ridiculous damage. Point in case, with the Mastodaddy, 4 regular two-handed R2s, we're doing almost 7k in damage. So, is there any way to boost that number? Oh yeah, I completely forgot up till this point, but I can still get Sacred Oath, which adds an additional 50 or so damage. And we're really squeezing for all we can get now, so every last bit helps. And yes, Bright Bugs and Sacred Oath can stack, but only if Sacred Oath is used first. Well, kinda. You see, it seems Sacred Oath actually only adds a flat 50 points of damage that can't be multiplied. I don't know why, but it is definitely the case because my damage goes up exactly 50 points from 1739 without Sacred Oath to 1789, meaning we only actually gain about 200 points of damage. Damn. So more number crunching. This time with Dragon Form. We're doing around 2075 with each hit, setting us right around 8300, about 500 points short. So how about Poison? It's saved us countless times before, right? No dice. Without Lightning Infusion, we only deal about 2/3 of our normal damage. Well, only one more thing to crunch then. 4473. That is the number of damage if one of the hits is a crit and I hit the perfect sweet spot on the halberd every time. Meaning if we can get 2 crits, then she's doable. So, time to grind. While you enjoy this montage of my 3-day descent into insanity, I just wanted to say thank you again for all your support, and Lemon, who despite the suffering, gave me a chance in the contest. Also as a reminder, you can watch other ridiculous challenges like this on my channel link here. Who knows, I might have an even weirder way to beat the game than what you've seen so far. So if you've enjoyed the video, I'd also suggest you subscribe to me here. Now, where were we? Oh, well shit. Still haven't gotten her. Seriously, after 3 days. 3 days of doing the same thing. Over. And over. But I kept going. Trying. Every time. Hoping. that this would be the run. Hoping, praying for just 2 crits. And finally, time was up. It was the end of the challenge. We were so close. Just 2 crits. And you just wouldn't give it to me, would you, Dark Souls? I don't know the exact number of attempts, but looking at the 20 or so hours worth of footage I have for her, I would guess we're easily somewhere in the hundreds. But we're not going to end it like that though, are we? So just give me a sec. Oh, would you look at that? 4 crits in a row. Huh. And well, with Nashandra down, I can confidently say that, no, not even possible. You cannot beat Dark Souls in one shot, and for the love of God, don't try.